I never imagined a single evening could completely shatter and reshape everything I believed about my marriage, about trust, respect, and loyalty. My name is Daniel, and for years I lived with the certainty that honesty and devotion were enough to hold a relationship together. But that night, at the company's annual party, I learned just how fragile those convictions could be. The event buzzed with laughter and conversation, the sound of clinking glasses mixing with a hum of background chatter. Beneath it all, though, ran a faint current of unease. Olivia, my wife, looked stunning as always, confident, graceful, effortlessly charming. I'd always admired that about her. I thought we were solid, untouchable even, a true partnership in every sense. But that night, I realized that appearances can be dangerously misleading. It started subtly. A man from her office, someone I'd seen around before, began lingering near her. At first, I told myself it was harmless, that I was overthinking. But as the night went on, his behavior became more deliberate. He laughed too hard at her jokes, found excuses to touch her arm, leaned in too close when he spoke. The way he looked at her wasn't innocent. He was testing boundaries, seeing how far he could go. And then, at the edge of the dance floor, he crossed the line. With a smirk that oozed arrogance, he placed a hand on her shoulder, whispered something meant only for her. For a brief moment, Olivia froze. She didn't step away right away, and that pause hit me like a punch to the gut. He mistook her hesitation for permission, and that mistake would cost him. I didn't storm over. I stayed calm. Public scenes have a way of backfiring on the person who starts them, and I wasn't there to create chaos. My goal wasn't to humiliate, it was to protect what mattered, and to remind others that respect still has weight. So I watched closely. Every gesture, every glance. I waited, not because I was afraid, but because patience, I realized, could be far more effective than anger. When the moment felt right, I moved closer. Olivia's posture stiffened slightly. She knew I was near. That unspoken understanding between us, built over years, didn't need words. He leaned in again, thinking her politeness was an invitation. But before he could say another word, I was there, standing just behind him. No shouting, no threats, just presence. The change in him was immediate. The smugness drained from his face, replaced by something that looked a lot like fear. He hadn't realized I'd been watching all along. Olivia's eyes met mine, calm, grateful, aware. She knew I wasn't angry, only resolute. That I wouldn't let disrespect go unanswered. The energy between us shifted, tension giving way to silent solidarity. I leaned slightly toward him, close enough that no one else could hear. I think it's best you step back, I said evenly. My tone wasn't harsh. It didn't need to be. The message was clear. He hesitated, eyes flicking nervously between us. I didn't move. I didn't blink. And in that stillness, he understood he'd lost whatever game he thought he was playing. Olivia placed her hand on my arm, a quiet, powerful gesture that said more than words ever could. He muttered something, mumbled an excuse, and backed away, his earlier confidence dissolving into awkward shame. I didn't need to say anything else. The point had been made. Respect had been reclaimed. For the rest of the evening, we carried on as if nothing had happened, smiling, composed, perfectly in sync. But beneath the calm surface, everything had quietly, irrevocably changed. We spent the rest of the night socializing, blending effortlessly into the crowd. Yet beneath the surface, something fundamental between us had shifted. There was a new, unspoken understanding, one that felt unbreakable. That evening revealed a quiet truth. Real strength doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it's silent, deliberate, and patient. When used with intention, it can cut through arrogance more effectively than anger ever could. By the time the night ended, the man had disappeared, defeated not by confrontation, but by calm authority. Olivia and I left together, our composure intact, our connection stronger than before. I realized that respect isn't demanded, it's upheld, quietly, firmly, and without compromise. The rest of the evening unfolded without incident, but the weight of what had happened stayed with me. I began to see how small gestures, brief exchanges, and subtle looks could hold deeper meaning. What could have been a moment of mistrust had become something else entirely, a quiet testament to awareness, trust, and composed strength. Later, when we were alone, I turned to Olivia and said softly, "You didn't do anything wrong. He just misunderstood." She let out a slow breath, the tension easing from her shoulders. What I saw in her eyes wasn't just relief, it was understanding. We had faced a test meant to divide us, and instead, it reinforced our unity. That night wasn't merely about shielding her from another man's audacity. It was about recognizing the true nature of respect, earned not through aggression, but through poise and awareness. Too often, people overlook the small signs, the boundary testing, the quiet dismissals, the moments that seem trivial until they build into something much larger. Those tiny fractures, left unchecked, can break even the strongest bonds. What I learned that night is that real defense doesn't come from anger or jealousy, it comes from clarity and timing. In the days that followed, I heard that the man had grown distant, his confidence subdued. The quiet message had reached him. He had mistaken charm for influence, and proximity for permission. But he learned, as I did, that sometimes silence, steady, unshaken silence, can be the most powerful response of all.